So everyone is obsessing over the fact that the latest AI models have, like, trillions of parameters and can easily ace the bar exam.
Right, the raw power is just staggering right now.
It is. But raw capability doesn't actually tell you what an AI will do. I mean, it just tells you what it can do. So welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at a June 2026 essay by M. Chenna. It's titled, Who Sets the Rules AI Runs On?
Yeah, and it's such a fascinating piece.
It really is. And our mission for you today is to basically stop staring at the size of the AI's engine. We need to figure out who exactly is programming the GPS.
I love that analogy. It's a really necessary shift in perspective because we get so distracted by the sheer scale of these neural networks.
Oh, absolutely.
We just sort of assume the complexity itself is generating the AI's behavior, like it's magic.
Mhm.
But Chenna argues that complex behavior, it doesn't actually start with scale.
Okay, so where does it start then?
Well, to understand where the direction comes from, Chenna points to Conway's Game of Life from 1970.
Oh, right, the old computer simulation thing.
Exactly. It's essentially this blank grid with just 4 really simple mathematical rules, just basic rules about whether a little pixel cell lives or dies.
Right.
And from those 4 tiny rules, massive spontaneous complexity emerges. You get these pulsing structures and entire digital worlds that nobody explicitly drew.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you there. Conway's Game of Life is a neat 1970s math puzzle,
Yeah.
right? With 4 basic rules.
Yeah, very basic.
But we are talking about modern neural networks with hundreds of billions of parameters. I mean, are you really saying the engineers at these big AI labs are just writing down 3 or 4 basic rules and letting a trillion parameter model figure the rest out?
Well, I know it sounds way too simplistic, but the underlying mechanism follows the exact same logic.
Really? How so?
Think of the parameters like the raw computing power as the size of the grid in Conway's game.
Hmm.
A bigger grid means the AI can build vaster, way more complex outputs.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, right. But if the core rule governing that grid says only build squares, you only ever get squares. It doesn't matter how big the grid gets. The rules dictate the shape of the intelligence.
Oh, wow. Okay, here is where it gets really interesting to me. Because if capability spreads everywhere, like if it's impossible to hoard, which it seems to be, doesn't that make governance the only real contest?
Yes, that is the exact crux of the essay. Capability inevitably compounds. It leaks out. It becomes cheaper to replicate over time.
Right. Anyone can eventually get a massive grid.
Exactly. But whoever sets those initial constraints, they set the defaults that millions of people will just inherit.
Right.
And AI models' values aren't magically discovered in the training data.
Right. They are chosen.
They're actively chosen by a very small group of human beings and then, shipped at a planetary scale.
But let's unpack this for a second. How do those human choices actually get locked into the machine?
What do you mean?
Like, if a developer decides they want the AI to be helpful, but say, never give financial advice, that isn't just a sticky note on a server somewhere. How does a human preference become a hard-coded rule in a massive neural network?
Well, it happens through mechanisms like reinforcement learning. When humans are training the model, they reward certain answers and they penalize others.
Okay, kind of like training a dog.
Yeah, exactly. And this mathematically alters the model's system weights. It physically changes the numerical pathways the AI uses to process information.
So it's baked right into the math.
Right, so that rule about financial advice permanently fences off certain types of logic within the architecture. The human values literally become the structural boundaries of the system.
Wow. So if we accept that these models are just scaling up human-chosen rules, that means whoever gets to define those constraints is essentially writing the digital laws of physics for the next decade.
Yeah, that's a terrifying way to put it, but it's true.
But how do we even know what those rules are if these companies keep them all proprietary?
Well, that is the core danger Chenna highlights, because the immediate threat isn't just who writes the rules, it's the fact that we can't even see them.
Because they're buried, right?
Exactly. They are buried deep in those system weights, or hidden within a system prompt, or locked away in some unpublished corporate policy document.
Right.
And because they are invisible, they silently harden into digital infrastructure. They feel like natural facts rather than human decisions.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't see the fence, you don't even know you're in a cage. You just assume that's where the world naturally ends.
Precisely.
People will start treating the AI's output as an objective fact rather than a highly curated human decision. What happens when we force them into the light, though?
Well, Chenna argues that visibility is half the battle.
Yeah.
When you drag a rule out of the black box and into the light, it suddenly becomes arguable.
And you can actually debate it.
Exactly. It becomes auditable. You can debate it or even reverse it. But if it stays hidden, you just blindly accept it as reality.
That completely shifts how you have to look at this technology.
It really does.
I mean, to wrap this deep dive up, it seems like the real fight for AI's future isn't about giving these machines a bigger brain at all. It's about demanding a say in the hidden rules those brains run on.
We absolutely have to move from being passive consumers of AI outputs to critical interrogators of AI constraints.
Totally. So we'll leave you with this to mull over on your own.
Yeah.
The next time an AI refuses a simple request or, answers a sensitive question in a very particular way, stop and ask yourself something.
Yeah.
What invisible rule just dictated that boundary? And whose exact worldview are you being forced to adopt in that